Welcome to Deep Dive. In this episode, we are going to look at how EMS players are positioning themselves for the next phase of growth. And joining me today is Mr. Vikas Gupta, who is the Managing Director at PG Electroplast. Mr. Gupta, thank you very much for joining us on ET Now. To begin with, sir, it's one of the most expanding, one of the biggest expanding sectors and most, uh, biggest opportunity which is coming in for many of the players in this sector. Give us a sense of the kind of growth that we see in this sector. And over the last 4 or 5 years, we have seen this particular sector growing multifold. How is the runway for this sector over the next 5 years?
So, Mr. Sajid, first of all, thank you for having me on your show. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. The EMS industry as a whole is at the cusp of a major renaissance. What we feel the overall geopolitical situation, how it is emerging, and how there is a regionalization of the value chains, and there is a local policy tailwind which is supporting the manufacturing sector in India. So we feel there are multiple growth levers which are helping to grow the EMS industry. We are at a very critical inflection point where we feel that this industry can grow with leaps and bounds. And if it is already evident, you see the growth of this particular industry in last 5 years. I think this industry has grown in multiple times in last 5 years. And what we feel going forward also in next 5 to 7 years, our industry can grow multifold, and all the product categories that we are catering to right now are in a very low penetration levels in India.
Interesting, sir, because I was looking at the report, and the report mentioned that EMS will grow at nearly 30% on a CAGR growth for the next 4 or 5 years. And what's driving that is a higher, higher higher salaries which is coming in, the underpenetrated appliances market which is there, and the kind of, the growth or the weather changes which is also coming into play, which is also helping in this expansion. Give us a sense of how much of that growth can be captured by the industry today, and including yourself.
So, Sajid, what we feel right now, Indian ecosystem for manufacturing is still evolving. And there is a component ecosystem that needs to be developed if we want to really deepen the local manufacturing value addition and the value chain. If we want to deepen that, the component ecosystem development is very critical to that. And I think the government policies are working that direction only to promote the manufacturing of the components, critical components locally, where we can reduce the dependence on overseas vendors. And what we feel right now, there is a macroeconomic trend in India also, which is also helping to grow this business. There is a definitely a major push, as you also pointed out, there is a growth of the economy, which is also improving the per capita income. But we feel that discretionary spend available to the common people in India is improving, which is leading to the growth of the consumption story. And we feel that all the product categories that we are catering to will grow substantially going forward.
As a key player in this industry, what is the kind of backward integration that you're doing, especially when you mentioned that component is something where we need to work on? How are you looking at that opportunity?
So, Sajid, we have taken multiple steps to see how we can deepen the local component ecosystem. We are working with vendors locally also. We are co-developing certain technologies, working on them to see how we can bring those dependencies on the imports to a lower level. In-house, we are also developing some critical technologies, like we are working on the compressor right now, which is a critical component which goes into air conditioner. So we are working on that, and we have already announced our intent to start the local manufacturing of compressors for our air conditioning business. and we are already putting investment of almost around 300 crores in that to start the production by the quarter 4 of FY27. So going to your question, definitely we are working on that. We are well aware of it, and we are taking steps to see how we can maximize the value chain here in India market.
Industry also following the way you're doing it, because compressors, when you mentioned, we are net importers of compressors and that's always been a challenge, whether it's for refrigerators or for ACs, it's required. Do you think we in the next 3 to 4 quarters or maybe next 2 years, India will have its own manufacturing of compressors and we will not be dependent on import compressors?
So we firmly believe, yes, India, like Indian players, will be able to develop that kind of capabilities. We ourselves are also putting our capacity, and there are other industry players also who are considering those moves. And I think there will be ample capacity which will come up in India in the next 2 to 3 years to take care of the total AC market requirements.
Sir, one of the key challenges that we faced in 2025 was the extended monsoons that impacted how the entire industry, because the inventory was not taken up. Prior to that year, we had a very steep summer that led to a high increase in demand for ACs. Last year it was the opposite, which is that this year again we have an El Nino where rains are getting delayed. How does the industry manage this kind of weather patterns? That is a challenge for a company like you, right?
So yes, Sajid, you have pointed out well. Like AC business still is very seasonal in India, and it's a kind of a something that we have to factor into our business plans always till the time we are able to reduce the seasonality in this business. But definitely yes, the last year FY26 has been a quite tough year for the AC business. There was an early onset of monsoon, and which led to the substantial impact on the demand for air conditioners in the quarter 1 of FY26. And there has been multiple challenges for the AC industry. There was Iran war. There was a announcement of GST rate cut, which was announced by the government in August, which led to the postponement of sales till 22nd of September, when eventually that the GST rate cut was effective. So there were multiple challenges for AC business. But what we feel, if you look at the long-term trajectory of this business, definitely there is a strong tailwind, and we are very confident that this business will grow at a rapid clip going forward. Definitely, there will be some challenges. There will be some seasons, some year where there might be some short-term challenges related to the weather, which is very difficult to predict.
How do you look at the model from a technology point of view? Because energy efficiency is something which everyone is talking about, even given the current times. Also, the fact that the standards of energy efficiency is also changing on a regular basis as compared to earlier. And that means that your technology has to change and you have to do more investments. How is the industry coping up with that kind of change in rapid technology?
So, Sajid, it is very clear to the industry that we all need to align as with the government objectives and the government policy directions. We are in close coordination and close communication with the government, and we do interact on this how to improve on the energy efficiency. And what we feel, the air conditioners we are producing right now are one of the most energy efficient air conditioners in the world. And we are in touch with the government, and definitely it requires a lot of rejigging of our plant and equipment. We need to invest in the new technology for the compressors, and we have to work with them. We have to develop new controllers for the air conditioners. So that's a constant R&D work that our teams are doing, and bringing out new models as per the latest energy standards.
And how do you manage supply chain disruptions? Because in the last 2 years, there has been a couple of supply disruption because of geopolitical issues which is there, and because new technologies require chips and semiconductors as well. How are you managing that kind of supply chain for operations?
So, Sajid, that is something I would call is a continuous ongoing challenge that every industry, every company is facing, and we are in deep touch with the vendors on the overseas side also to see how we can give a better forecast. We can try to secure our inventories for the coming seasons and the coming months. So we are in constant touch, and I think uh, the best way for that is to see how we can localize the component ecosystem and we can reduce the dependencies on the imports.